Federalist 9, Part 3. So far are the suggestions of Montesquieu from standing in opposition to a general union of the states that he explicitly treats of a confederate republic as the expedient for extending the sphere of popular government and reconciling the advantages of monarchy with those of republicanism. It is very probable, says he, that mankind would have been obliged at length to live constantly under the government of a single person, had they not contrived a kind of constitution that has all the internal advantages of a republican, together with the external force of a monarchical government. I mean a confederate republic. This form of government is a convention by which several smaller states agree to become members of a larger one, which they intend to form. It is a kind of assemblage of societies that constitute a new one, capable of increasing by means of new associations till they arrive to such a degree of power as to be able to provide for the security of the united body. A republic of this kind, able to withstand an external force, may support itself without any internal corruptions. The form of this society prevents all manner of inconveniences. If a single member should attempt to usurp the supreme authority, he could not be supposed to have an equal authority and credit in all the Confederate States. Were he to have too great influence over one, this would alarm the rest. Were he to subdue a part, that which would still remain free might oppose him with forces independent of those which he had usurped, and overpower him before he could be settled in his usurpation. Should a popular insurrection happen in one of the Confederate States, the others are able to quell it. Should abuses creep into one part, they are reformed by those that remain sound. The state may be destroyed on one side and not on the other. The Confederacy may be dissolved and the Confederates preserve their sovereignty. As this government is composed of small republics, it enjoys the internal happiness of each, and with respect to its external situation, it is possessed by means of the association of all the advantages of large monarchies. I have thought it proper to quote at length these interesting passages because they contain a luminous abridgment of the principal arguments in favor of the Union and must effectually remove the false impressions which a misapplication of other parts of the world was calculated to produce. They have at the same time an intimate connection with more immediate design of this paper, which is to illustrate the tendency of the Union to repress domestic faction and insurrection. A distinction more subtle than accurate has been raised between a confederacy and a consolidation of the states. The essential characteristic of the first is said to be the restriction of its authority to the members in their collective capacities, without reaching to the individuals of whom they are composed. It is contended that the National Council ought to have no concern with any object of internal administration. An exact equality of suffrage between the members has also been insisted upon as a leading feature of a Confederate government. Okay, here I'm going to pause. This is a very important part of the new Constitution. He says under the Confederation, the Confederation could not pass laws and hold citizens of different states accountable. If they passed a law, they would have to ask the state to execute or implement it. If somebody broke the law, the Congress, the Confederation Congress, could not do anything to that person directly. They had to ask that state the person was living in to punish the lawbreaker. Hamilton is starting to say this is a big mistake that we made in the Articles of Confederation, and we are trying to correct it with this new Constitution. A government that passes a law should be able to force people to obey the law, to force them directly. So he says in this new Constitution, if somebody breaks a federal law, federal government can hold them responsible. They don't have to go to the state and ask for state's help. They can punish the person, either put the person in jail or give them a fine, some sort of penalty. So he's going to be bringing this up constantly, that a government has to be able to enforce its laws, or it's not a government. Okay, I'll continue. An exact equality of suffrage between the members has also been insisted upon as a leading feature of a Confederate government. These positions are, in the main, arbitrary. They are supported neither by principle nor precedent. It has indeed happened that governments of this kind have generally operated in the manner which the distinction taken notice of supposes to be inherent in their nature. But there have been in most of them extensive exceptions to the practice, which serve to prove, as far as example will go, that there is no absolute rule on the subject, and it will be clearly shown in the course of this investigation that as far as the principle contended for has prevailed, it has been the cause of incurable disorder and imbecility in the government. Imbecility means a government that cannot do anything right, is unable to get what it needs to do right. So up to now, he says, we had to go to the states and ask the states to punish or enforce the law, to punish the lawbreakers. He says that will make the government imbecile. Imbecility, it will make the government, it'll be just stupid plan for the government. Your government cannot do anything. It's handicapped. So he says in this new Constitution, we have changed this. We have given power to the federal government so that it can enforce its own laws. and not to have to depend on the states. So this point is very important. And he also says something about under the Confederation, as I have told you before, one state could stop the amendment process. So if they wanted to amend the Confederation, the Articles of Confederation, a tiny state like Delaware or Rhode Island, or for that matter, even one big state, just one state could stop the process. And he says that is stupid. You can't do that.